Draft Day, a.k.a. Cooper Flagg Day, a.k.a. the day that the Mavs somehow got completely bailed out of the grave that they dug for themselves. I mean, seriously, who has ever been less deserving of having something good happen to them? Less deserving of nailing impossible odds. Assuming, of course, is that new less? Is that a frog less or a cricket less? It's the cricket. So I was asking, who's less deserving of nailing impossible odds, unless, of course, you believe that the Mavs legitimately turned 1.8% odds into their first overall pick, or maybe do not legitimately believe that. In other words, I know a lot of you don't. And I know a lot of you will never, ever believe that. I know that tonight is an enormous night for the tinfoil crowd. See, that's what happens when a team sends a superstar in his prime for very, very little. How do you like my tinfoil hat? Perfect fit. That's what happens when a team trades a superstar in the prime of his career, one of their best players ever, one of their most popular players ever, and they get damaged goods in return. And then what do you know? Out of nowhere, they land the next great generational talent despite having odds of less than 2% of getting that pick. So here we are. Here the bleep we are, and I understand why so many of you are calling bullcrap on that. But the Mavs will get back on track with Cooper Flagg. Congratulations, Dallas. It's a gift that nobody thinks that you actually deserve.
Congratulations.
Whether that gift came right from the league or straight from the basketball gods themselves, nobody thinks that you deserve that. And to be clear, I, for one, do not think that Ears orchestrated the entire thing, because I think that'd be giving Ears way too much credit. I don't think Powder lobbed a phone call to Nico Harrison and said, hey, look, this is how this is going to go. What we need is for that LA franchise to be Showtime once again. And LeBron's getting old, and LeBron's going to go. And we know LeBron's kid's not going to pick it up. So what we need you to do, hey, Powder, are you kidding? Hear me out, Neeks. Hear me out. What we need you to do is trade hookah bong rips to the Lakers. How the hell am I going to do that, Powder? They'll kill me. Listen to me. Relax. All you have to do is fat shame him. Fat shame the hell out of him on the way out the door. They'll understand that you don't want to spend a supermax on a fat guy. And then you get street clothes back in return, who I know you love. And I know it's really bad, so I'm going to make it worth your while when I pull a little frozen ping pong ball stunt and get you guys that number one pick, because Cooper Flagg. Now, how's that sound, Neeks? Yeah, anyway, as much as I know a lot of you think that's exactly how that went down, I don't think that happened, because I don't think that Powder is operating on that level. Do you? David Stern? Sure. Powder? Nah, I don't think. He spent a lot of time around Stern, probably learned a lot of bad habits from Stern, but I just don't think that Powder has that in him. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Now, what I can't deny is this. Dallas winning the lottery and Dallas getting this pick tonight is, without question, one of the luckiest things I've ever seen, one of the most unlikely things I've ever seen, which is why nobody thinks it's legit. And I can't really blame anybody who has their doubts. However, I will tell you one thing that is definitely legit. There are almost no sure things, except this is about as close to a sure thing as there is. You know who I have and what I have very few doubts about? Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg. This dude's incredible. An absolute menace. The best incoming prospect since, I don't know, Wemby. Wemby!
Wemby! Wemby!
I've got the JT still. Or maybe Zion. Zion! There is no Zion drop. Zion! Zion weighs a ton. Or maybe even street clothes himself back in the day. One thing is for sure. This is going to be the youngest draft prospect since LeCap himself. Incredibly, this guy's still only 18. Cooper Flagg is only 18, and he'll still be 18 when the next NBA season starts. He is so young because he famously skipped a whole year of high school. And his explanation for why he did that has been all over the internet all week long. It's an incredible quote. Actually, a quote from his mom. His mom said, quote, his mom, "If you're the best player in the gym, you need to find a new gym." Dang. Now that's a basketball mom. What a quote. I like that. It's going to be tougher and tougher to find any gyms with better players, but he will as soon as he arrives here. Hey, by the way, speaking of LeCap, dude's already a massive fan. Now, if you're skeptical of the kid, and really nobody is, who would be? Again, this is one of those cases where if you're skeptical of this kid, then you just hate. Then your life did not turn out the way you had hoped, or you're only here to hate. I mean, nobody doubts this kid unless you hate. But back to LeGoat. LeGoat will tell you about this kid. Listen to what LeGoat has to say about Flagg.
I personally think that he wants to be great. He had a hell of a year at Duke. A guy that can do so many different things on the floor, can play with the ball, can play without the ball. His jump shot is going to continue to get better, super athletic, quick second jump. And also, he has the benefit, unlike myself, he gets to join a team that's established.
Right. LeCap, how is it that no matter what the topic is, inevitably it ends up being about you? This guy's... It's not only inevitable, it's actually like infuriating. Dude, this is why people don't like you. Just answer the question about Cooper Flagg. What do you mean, unlike me? It's got nothing to do with you. Why did you make that about you? I mean, clearly a fan of the player and the fit in Dallas, but clearly not a fan of the dumpster fire that he found when he first arrived in Cleveland. LeCap's like, unlike myself, this guy gets to come into the league and play on a real team. He gets to run with Hall of Famers. Me, I had to run with, and by the way, big fella, don't take this the wrong way because I loved you. I did love the Z-Man. Unlike me, he doesn't have to run with the likes of Zydrunas Ilgauskas. LeCap, what happened to the hometown team selected you? Why are you making this sound like a horrible thing? And by the way, almost anybody else who goes first does go to a crap-ass team. How does this guy turn everything around and make it about him? Planet LeCap, with all the other planets in the galaxy orbiting around Planet LeCap. This guy, man, this dude. At least LeCap has high praise for the kid's ability. And we all know how incredible LeCap is when it comes to analyzing draft prospects. We all saw what kind of a run he had as the GM. Who could ever forget his favorite player from last year's draft? You know, the one the Lakers are still trying to trade? Dalton Knecht. Remember when he said that and asked if any other teams actually watched him play? Remember that whole thing? And my favorite part, he also added that the Lakers didn't even get it right with the pick. It's that 16 other teams, quote, effed up.
They didn't find DK. The other 16 teams f***ed it up.
Did anybody watch him?
They just didn't f*** it up.
Good one, Mel Kiper. Who are you now, Marty Blake? There's a shout out. There's an old school reference. Another thing that draft analysts typically do is name a player comp for a prospect. And the player comp I should say, for Flagg, has been tough to nail down. It's been a big question in the lead up to the draft. Everybody's talking about it. So finally, it worked its way back to Flagg himself, and he was asked, what do you think? Is there anybody in the league right now that when you look at, you see a bit of yourself in? Who would you compare your game to? Listen to his response.
Who's your NBA player comp, and who do your friends say you play like?
I'd like to think that I could play like Kawhi, just such a good two-way talent. I don't know if I actually do or not, but I think my friends would say someone like that as well.
Kawhi. Hopefully you mean the version of Kawhi that actually plays, and not the version of Kawhi that leads the world in load management. Well, I actually wonder what Kawhi would say about that comp. Does Kawhi think that Cooper and his game resembles Kawhi's? Wait a minute. I think we actually have a response. I think we have sound. Alvin, can you help me out and dig? Do we have Kawhi's reaction to being compared to Cooper Flagg? If Kawhi does not hit the floor soon, they're going to start comparing him to Cooper Flagg. I actually thought it was a pretty interesting comp, but I guess Kawhi sees it a little bit differently. Or maybe Kawhi's just laughing his ass off that the Clippers had SGA. Can we just stop right there for a minute? Can you believe the Clippers had SGA? The MVP. The one that people are already trying to put in the Hall of Fame. He's 26. They had him. And they decided to trade him instead of trying to build a championship team around him. No. Let's get Paul George and Kawhi. We don't need SGA. Now that is actually hilarious. They had SGA. Look at that graphic, is so amazing. Look what the Thunder received if you're watching on the stream. Sorry, Slobin. Look at all those picks. Oh, and SGA at the very top. The MVP of the league. Look at all those picks. Oh, but they did receive Paul George. There is that. All those picks just happen to be Jalen Williams, one of them. Man, amazing. Freaking Sam Presti if you need him. So in terms of the draft, absolutely no mystery to me. We know what's going to happen at the top, and we've got a pretty good idea how Cooper Flagg is going to project on the next level. He's going to be a stud, and sooner than later. The actual mystery of the night is Ace Bailey, who has been the biggest mystery of the pre-draft process because he's had quite a bizarre pre-draft process in that he essentially has blown everybody off. Can you imagine trying to get drafted by telling every team who wants to get to know you and work you out, No, I'm good. No, really, we want to bring you in. We want to work you out. We want to buy you dinner. We want you to sit with the coach, the GM, some of the other players. No, I just said I'm good. As an example, the Sixers picked third, and they had this entire overnight itinerary set up. They were going to do a workout, and then a meal, and then the hotel was all taken care of. It was all set up. I mean, this is what you do when you've got the third pick. You want to make sure you get it right. Bailey cancels on them the day before because he apparently was seeking, some sort of assurance from them in advance. Presumably, a promise that he'd be the third overall pick. I mean, if that's the way that went down. All right, so we want you to come in and work out and have a meal and hang out. Okay, are you going to pick me? Well, we can't really tell you. We don't know. We are seriously considering it, or we wouldn't have you in for a meal and a workout in a hotel. Listen, I'm seriously not coming unless you seriously commit to me. Allegedly. The thing is, it wasn't just the Sixers. Bailey apparently declined invites from a bunch of teams in the draft. I mean, my guy, were you not watching Shedeur before the NFL draft? Like, who the hell is advising this dude? Or is he just not listening to those who are advising this dude? Or did he watch Shedeur and say, I like that. That's how you do that. You show up unprepared. You build yourself a draft home. and you act like you're better than anybody who is going to take you. If you do show up badly and unprepared, and then wait to not hear your name. The only thing he's missing is a catchphrase. Hashtag. You're lucky to have me. Hashtag. Ace is wild. Hashtag. Ace is king. Hashtag. Ace of spades. This dude, man, I don't know. Hey, maybe he knows something that I don't know or the rest of us don't know. Fine. But what does he know that the Sixers don't know? Or any other team at the top of the draft that may want him? So I'm not sure how this is going to impact him because always there's somebody who'll be like, you know what? We can make it work. We'll get him in our system, in our culture, with our coach, and our vets, and it'll work out. Yeah, the thing about that is sometimes when you have these reservations, you're right, and it doesn't work out. So I'm not sure who will or won't rip him off their board. We're going to find out tonight. Now, Bailey's explanation this week for why he didn't work out for teams didn't exactly help the cause, but he had a chance to explain himself.
Ace, how are you tuning out the noise in the pre-draft? And obviously, are you hearing it, and what's your thoughts on it?
No, I'm just working on basketball. That's all I'm focused on so far.
But do you feel like people have the wrong perception of you?
I feel like I can only control what I can control. I mean, you can think how you think, but I can control what I can control.
So what can you control?
Me playing basketball.
But you could have controlled going with the workout. So.
I'm focused on basketball. That's my decision.
That is basketball.
It's basketball.
So it's a little bit noisy, but let me help you with that. If you didn't hear that, reporters are just trying to figure out the logic of him not taking meetings, not working out, canceling meetings. And his response is, I'm just focused on what I can control. I'm just focused on basketball. And then when they try to follow him up, he said it again. I'm just focused on what I can control. I'm just focused on basketball. Okay, so you're focused on basketball, only on basketball. But you don't want to do basketball workouts? You only want to focus or control what you can control. What you can control is your schedule and your performance in those workouts. So you would think that if he was only focused on basketball and what he could control, that he would go focus on basketball, work out, and work as hard as he could, because you can control your effort. It doesn't really make any sense at all. But despite that, you know he's still going to go in the lottery somewhere. He might slide, but somebody's going to bite on that upside because with Ace Bailey, the ceiling truly is the roof. The dude is 6'9", with a guard skill set, raw as hell. He's got a long way to go, a massive prospect, but tremendous upside. But a massive prospect. And so is his former Rutgers teammate, my man Ron Harper's kid. What up, Ron? Miss you, bro. Dylan Harper is expected to go as high as number 2 overall to the Spurs. Now, as much as I love my guy Ron Harper, and I do, I think his kid is a great prospect, and I do. I have to ask this question, though. How the hell was Rutgers so terrible this year when they had arguably 2 of the 5 best players in this draft on the same team? I know the Big Ten is rough, but how were they 15 and 17? How? And not to dog the rest of the squad, but how horrendous was the rest of the squad? But doesn't matter now because both Harper and Bailey get new homes tonight. On a night that always feels like an eternity, and it's now actually stretched out into 2 nights for some reason, at least there is some intrigue and some drama in the top 5, even if we all know who's going to go number 1 overall.